Could our suits be malfunctioning? Detmer, are your settings any different than ours?
No, they're all the same. There's no reason I should be fine.
This doesn't make any sense. Is there any chance it could be the dust?
There was a patch of ground, unstable. I recall stepping through it just before the hallucinations began. It was filled with dust.
Yes, and I knelt in it when I was treating you. And I touched it when I was examining the trichome.
And I haven't come into direct contact with it.
Okay. The hydrocarbons that you analyzed earlier, they weren't found in any of the Federation databases, so maybe our suits wouldn't know how to block them.
An unknown substance could get through if the structure was unusual enough. Here, let me recalibrate the programmable matter filtering system. There.
So glad you were paying attention in those EV trainings.
Welcome to Deep Space Pride, a gay Star Trek podcast. I am one of your hosts, Johnson, and with me is my co-host, Mike Thurlow. Mike, how are you doing today? You look cold.
I'm doing all right.
You look cold and tired.
I am. It's a little chilly in the office, and yes, I am exhausted right now, but I'm here.
You're here. You've had a fun week at work.
Yes, fun is not exactly what I would describe it as, but yes, it's been a I should say
It's been a challenge.
It's been challenging.
Yes.
Challenging and stretching my skills and abilities to new levels. So
I do have to say, because you've been doing a lot of troubleshooting at work, troubleshooting I do find very draining. I find it to be fun when you figure it out, when you figure out the problem. But honestly,
yes.
it's also one of the things where like, wait, it's been an hour and I've made no progress. I don't know if that happened to you, but that happens to me all the time when I'm trying to troubleshoot shit. I'm like, wait, I've made no progress and it's been 60 minutes. I don't understand. And it's so frustrating.
Well, for me, it's been 3 days, and I think maybe around 11:30, so 48 hours after this whole thing started, this whole adventure, things started moving. But yeah, I had to make some tough calls. Yeah, it's been a huge challenge. But you're right, it is very like the troubleshooting. Yeah, my boss, I saw her on a call tonight really briefly, and she's like, Mike Thurlow, there you are. I haven't heard from you all day. And she's like, even though I've sent you emails. And I'm like, I've been at work setting this whole system up
in the dungeon, in the server room dungeon.
Yeah, and so she and I will have a very interesting one-on-one tomorrow, I'm sure. But I haven't let too much slip, just a few things. Usually I'm super responsive on email, and the fact that I haven't been probably is surprising to her, but it is surprising.
Right.
And yeah. So it'll be fine. I'm not worried about it, but it's just, yeah, you're right. It's been a very draining week trying to troubleshoot this whole system, and we're making progress. And like I said before, I don't know, I'm 60-70% of the way there. And hopefully the IT support that I have, I sent them an email and sent them some more information. So hopefully they can fix that before I even get there tomorrow. Because tomorrow I don't have a lot of time. Like I'm on my own with Hamish, and Hamish does not like being left alone. I can't bring him with me. So yeah, it's just it's one of those where I gotta get in, I gotta get this stuff done, and I gotta get out. So yeah.
Does Hamish still have separation anxiety?
Yes, he does. Yes. I don't know what to do about it either. I mean, so
it's used to having you guys around, maybe.
Yeah, it really is. And for the most part, I would be around. It's not like this is just a weird week where I'm at work on location.
Right, and Dennis is also at work.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, Dennis was home today. Dennis was home on Monday, but yesterday and tomorrow it'll just be me, and so. And then Dennis is watching Hamish through our camera, and he's whining. So he's texting me, he's whining. When are you gonna go? Well, it's like, when are you gonna go home? When, like, how much longer are you gonna be there? When are you gonna go home and check on him? Like, all that stuff. So it was fine, but yes. But
he's always whiny.
He is, yeah.
He's a whiny dog.
Yeah, he's not over. Yeah, sometimes, yeah. But, yep. Yeah, so just a lot going on this week. So I'm a little bit drained. I only just watched the teasers that came out today a few hours ago.
Right.
So people were talking about it in Slack, and I was like,
You go ahead.
Oh no, I was like, people are talking about it in Slack, and I was like, I have no time to watch a teaser trailer right now. Are you kidding me?
Right.
But yes. So go ahead.
No, but I was gonna say, so today Disney Plus came out with the teaser for Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Paramount Plus came out with a teaser for Strange New Worlds. So there's a lot of Star Trek, Star Wars today. The Obi-Wan Kenobi one was a little bit meatier. There's a little more. Meanwhile, I felt the Strange New World one was definitely more teasery.
Yeah. What? When was it's more like the Picard teaser almost, right?
A little bit. I mean, it's more like, I would say the Obi-Wan Kenobi, you get kind of like a bit of a story. You kind of.
Oh yeah, that you get. Yeah, you see some Inquisitors in there, and you're like, ooh, if you haven't watched as much of the Rebels and all of that, but I saw that and I was like, ooh, like they're bringing the Inquisitors on, and that's exciting. And but the Strange New Worlds, it's almost like showing us the vistas. Do you remember the closing credits of the original series, and how each was kind of a different planet or a different episode that had
I don't remember.
Yeah,
that.
I feel like this was a lot like that, where they were just showing you like each world, like the what used to be background paintings, but now are like 3D animated, real, landscapes or whatever. But I felt like
I remember now. I remember closing credits for TOS. Yes. I remember now.
So I feel like this was much like that, in the sense of you were just seeing basically vistas of different planets, and then there was this whole thing about, like, I don't know, did it seem like Pike had gone away from Starfleet? That's the
it seemed like he's on a sabbatical, basically, and like in North America somewhere, like probably the Midwest, and he's like riding his horse, and Starfleet wants him back. So that's how it. That's a setup, that I sensed, but who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe he kind of it seems like he's a little depressed. Maybe maybe just a fallout from like the whole time crystal vision he got.
Yeah, right.
Season 2 of Discovery. So maybe he's still wrestling with that, but then in the end, he looks great.
Yes.
The end of the trailer.
Yeah. Yeah, at the end when he's looking out the windows of his quarters, right?
Yeah. Or ready room or whatever it was.
It looked
fantastic.
Well, the Enterprise really didn't have a ready room. That Enterprise didn't really have a ready room, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So unless they add that in for this new version, but
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So yeah, it all looked good. I liked the voiceover. That was neat.
From number 1, right?
Yes. Rebecca Romaine's voiceover. I thought that was good.
We saw a back shot of what looked like Spock without his
wasn't
shirt
sure.
on.
I wasn't sure about that. I would assume, but without a shirt on, I was like, okay. But
yeah,
I'm not sure. But it was nice. It was good. It was definitely a teaser.
Yes, we're less than 2 months out, so that's exciting.
Yes. Oh, you know what's less than a month out? Chicago. Chicago is less than a month out. We still haven't booked anything. We still need to talk about that.
Yes, you're right. We do need to talk about that. Yes, we are going. We're going. But
we're dragging our feet for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, life has been, yes.
And now, well,
now it's pretty much on, and Bill and Dan are going, and it's pretty much on. But I think for the longest time, I was kind of waiting for them to kind of pull the plug on it, because they haven't. I feel
things are kind of like back, quote unquote, back to normal. So
yeah, they are, which is great, and I'm excited about that. I just think that I'm curious if they're having a hard time getting big name stars to go, because a lot of the big names have kind of like, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, cocooned themselves in various places in the world, and aren't really going out and being amongst people. So you
have a lot of stars on the Star Trek cruise right now.
But yeah, they're back. Yeah, there were a bunch of stars from Discovery was big there. I don't know anything else. Nothing. All I saw were Discovery stars. Was there anybody else? Who else was I don't know.
I didn't look at the list, but I know a decent number of folks showed up. So I feel they can get them on the Star Trek cruise. They can get them in Chicago, but who knows?
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we'll see.
But that's very soon. So yes, we will be there. It's happening, but we need to book. We need to book tickets.
We do need to book. Oh, you know what? That's right. Tuesdays are supposed to be the best days for tickets, and I didn't have a chance to look at plane tickets on Tuesdays.
Well, I'm sure tickets are also more expensive now because of the war in Ukraine. So.
Oh yeah.
Affecting fuel prices across the board.
Oh, right.
So yeah, I'm sure it's going to be more expensive now, but we'll see. Yeah. What other news was there? You had a few news items, didn't you? Oh yeah, Star Trek Picard wrapped up season 3, last and final season,
and the show. They wrapped up the show. Yeah,
and it seems like, at least on Twitter and Instagram, everyone's saying that it's pretty final. So it seemed like they were a little bit like kind of leaving it open to more, but based upon the latest post, it sounds like it's pretty final. So
yeah,
it's over, which I'm actually okay with. I feel Patrick Stewart is really old. I feel he's just real, and this is not something we talked about last time, but we're going to talk about this time. I just feel that he's just more and more frail. I'm like, oh, you poor old man, So I'm actually fine.
I mean, he's 81 now, 81-ish, I think. Yeah. And did you watch the interview with Will Wheaton on the Ready Room with him?
I did not. Why? How was it?
It was good. It was really good. The one thing that I'm kind of unclear about, and I'm sure it was just kind of so when they, could be a timing thing when they recorded it or whatever. So he mentioned that they had done back-to-back seasons.
Right.
So they did 20 episodes, or they were doing 20 episodes. The way that he phrased it, he said, we've done 20 episodes and we've got 2 more to go. So I don't know if that was just a communication, or if when I heard it, I was like, oh, did they add a couple of episodes to season 3? Are the seasons 11 episodes now? What, but it was probably just a miscommunication, but I thought that was interesting. So it's probably, and then we saw the news that the show and the season 3 had wrapped. But it's a good interview. I definitely recommend going to watch it. I mean, it's, Will Wheaton does a great job interviewing, and obviously it's his, mentor and captain and friend, and so there's a nice camaraderie there between them, and and Patrick Stewart is a great interview. So
interviewee,
thank you. So yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. I enjoyed it, and that was what kind of came to mind for me. But and then of course yesterday or today, whenever, they said they wrapped the series. So yeah, I was kind of holding out hope that they'd kind of leave it open-ended and see how it goes, and then maybe like throw some more money at him and bring him back. But it does sound pretty final.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did some sort of spin-off with some of the characters. Like I would watch a spin-off with Jerry Ryan, there's a lot to cultivate with her character, and honestly a lot of the characters probably more to do. So if they want to do some sort of secondary show with those characters, I'm game.
Yeah, I would be too. I like being in 2401, so as we'll talk about, but so yeah, that was pretty much, there's a few other tidbits of news here or there, but those are the big things.
I think there are some other news items, but I'm not gonna bother. I don't think they're that important.
I don't think we need to.
Okay, cool. All right, so why don't we get into the most recent Discovery episode, and then we're going to then retread some of the discussion that we started last week, which was talk about the season premiere of Star Trek Picard. We're not going to talk about episode 2 of season 2, even though we watched it, because you need to watch it again, because it's distant memory at this point.
Yeah. It's murky, and it actually comes out tomorrow. We're recording this Wednesday night per our usual schedule. So so I think it'll just be better to watch it fresh and see it, because it was kind of there was a lot going on, and I really enjoyed it, but I want to watch it again and kind of pick
I might have a little bit of thoughts that spill over into episode 2, but we'll save the bulk of episode 2 discussion for our next podcast.
Yes, but let's talk a little bit about Discovery's latest episode.
Yes, so season 4, episode 11. Yes, episode 11.
Yeah,
Rosetta.
11.
Cool.
Oh, that's my head.
There must be something pretty darn interesting in there to upstage Klingon warriors.
Sorry. I'm just thinking about Commander Detmer.
Oh, I see. When Gray's away.
Okay, no, not like that. I just sometimes wish that I could be a little bit more like her. Confident and, able to go on a mission without worrying about all of the ways that I could screw it up.
I think it's pretty safe to assume that everyone, no matter what calm veneer they present, it's kind of a mess.
I've just never seen her flinch. She's always really got it together.
Ask her how she was after we flew out of a wormhole and crashed. No one's always okay, kid. It takes a hell of a lot of strength to admit when you're not. Which, I guess, makes Detmer, in fact, the shit. If you admire her so much, why don't you get to know her? Have you ever had a conversation?
Not like just us in the same... I wouldn't really know how to start that.
Pro tip. Don't start with, I want to be you. It's kind of creepy. You'll figure it out.
All right. So, Mike, what did you think of Rosetta?
first thought is that this is the slow road to the species 10C that
It
we've
is
ever
so
gotten.
fucking slow. I'm like, it's like dragging. I was
It's
really, I'll be honest, I was really bored in this episode. It's not like it didn't have its merits, but I was like, wow, it's like really dragging.
this
And
was a
like, and
heavy CG episode too. So like they're in the room in their like in their their I don't know how many degrees it is, their new LED studio
yes,
or
whatever you call
whatever.
it.
And
What do they call it?
uh,
I know we're talking about the Disney screen, the one
yeah,
that Disney pioneered,
yes.
the LED screen. I don't know what
um
you call it.
yeah, it's their big, yeah, their big studio. And with surrounded LED screens that they can project things onto and
Sure.
make it seem real and all of that. And I really struggled with getting the feel of where the planet, and it just felt overly CG this week.
It did feel
And
very CG to me. Yeah.
and the nature of the planet and what they experienced on the planet was very mental and like reflections and in their minds in a lot of ways. And so it was really hard to kind of grasp what was going on. So it was kind of, yeah, it was slow in that respect. It was just it wasn't so straightforward. To kind of,
we got
eventually
some.
they get there. They get
Yeah.
there when they figured out that it's a nursery, or where they are is a nursery, and that piece of it. But by that time, that, to be honest, I was meh about it. I was bored with it. I wasn't engaged because it was just too ethereal. It was just too yeah, it was just too much
I think
CG.
it's just. I think again the issue with my issue with this season in general is that we're getting information on species 10C in like little bits and pieces. Like we're getting some crumbs, and sometimes it's like, oh, it's wrong. It's actually not. This is not what it's not what we thought it was, or like, and it's just dragging. I'm not. I think there were some reviews about species 10C about, for example, that they originate on a gas giant, so that's very different than what we've seen, and it looks like they're like really big. They're really big,
they're
which I
enormous,
think
so
is a little bit different than what we've seen when it comes to like sentient species in Star Trek. Usually they're humanoid and they have like plastic on their faces, or the most alien that we usually get might be like A472. They're like tripeds or whatever. But they're like, if they lived in a gas giant, maybe they're just like big and floaty. They're just like floating through the gas giant, and it looks like based upon the skeleton they found, like they're large. So I think that is interesting, but I don't know. It's just like so slow. Like, oh, we can communicate with them through feelings. I'm like, great, more feelings for everyone. More feelings, because we don't get enough of that on this show. And of course we can communicate with them through feelings. I'm like, oh my god. Great. More. I mean, I have like sciencey dubious questions. It's like, I'm like, okay, like they're so biologically different. What's the likelihood that some sort of pheromone or chemical can trigger the same kind of emotional response? Like, I'm like, it's like, yeah, like would a hormone like that triggers an emotional response in an ant trigger an emotional response in us? Like it's like that kind of like, no, like, like it's just like, sure, but they need to find some sort of common ground somehow, and of course they need to root it in emotions because that's what the show is about. So yeah, it was fine. Like, I'm glad that what's her face, Detmer got some screen time.
I'm too.
There's a little bit of that for her,
for her,
which is great. Good for her. It felt a little bit more organic than, what we've gotten with some of the other tertiary cast members this season.
Yep. Yeah. This one did feel more organic, for sure. I liked having her on the planet. I liked her being the only one that wasn't affected by these spores, for lack of a better word. I don't know, hormones, whatever they are. They got into the other
hydrocarbon
suits.
Whatever, that's what they were saying.
Yeah, it would have been, it would have been nice for her to have to kind of take a little bit more of a command role in that sense, and kind of, than she did.
She was just like, it just so happened that she wasn't affected. It was by accident, basically.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it was great to see her have some screen time, and then we have some drama back on the ship while everyone's waiting. There's a couple of things going on. There's the delegate thing going on,
right?
Which is not that exciting. And then there's the Tarka and Book get on the Discovery, which,
oh my god, can I complain about that for 10 minutes?
If your complaint includes convoluted and
well, it was my problem with this whole thing is that we're basically just repeating things we've done before. We're treading old ground here, because they're basically back where they're kind of trying to do their own thing and trying to subvert what the Federation is trying to do. It's like back to that, back to like 4 episodes ago. And I'm just like, why are we going back to the same situation? And I guarantee you the same thing's going to happen in either the next episode or the finale, where Tarka and Book are going to fuck things up. Like, maybe they're going to, maybe Michael and crew gets to a point with Species 10C where they're about to make a breakthrough, and then Tarka like does something and blows things up, or, shit hits the fan, and then, I'm sure we're gonna visit these tropes, and then Michael needs to save the day, and then fix everything. Like, it's what's gonna happen, and it's gonna, just sort of you can see it coming, and that's what's just really frustrating. And I'm just like, why doesn't Book come to Michael and crew and be like, we're here, we're here to help you. Why don't we go? Obviously, Tarka screw things up, but why don't we go back to, look, you guys, because the books basically agreed to whatever the Earth delegate says. Like, let's try diplomacy first, and if not, let's go to some sort of backup plan where violence is the answer. But why doesn't Book go to Michael with the olive branch? Because he can say, like, let's go back to our previous plan. You continue on your path. Let's have a backup plan. Because they basically agreed to that already. Like, yes, but Tarka screwed things up, but why don't we revisit that? It's possible. And it's so frustrating to me that Tarka and Book then go into this convoluted thing where they're going to infiltrate the Discovery and like ride things. I'm just like, but this is ridiculous. Like, I just like so ridiculous. And it's going to just end up where they're going to screw things up, So I'm just so frustrated. I was just so frustrated with this whole thing, because it's just retreading old ground, and I feel they just.
I didn't even think of that, to be honest. I didn't even, I'm sure I would have eventually picked up on it, but I have 2 thoughts. One, I don't think it's going to end as neatly as, Michael saving the day. I just have a feeling that we're not going to, I don't think we're not going to, I mean, maybe, well, if we're revisiting tropes now, well, I'm sure we'll probably revisit tropes later.
I'll be honest,
I would like to see it end differently, where maybe it's not as clean and all wrapped up as.
I think they're going to save the day, but it might come at a cost, like to what you were, this is what you've been theorizing
what I've
all
said.
Season. I think it'll come at a cost, but I do think they're going to save the day. Then what? Hogan, Navarre and Earth are not going to blow up. Like, they're going to save Earth and Navarre. Like, that's what they say. So it may not be, but I don't think it's going to be some sort of like cliffhanger, like in the sense that like they're not going to resolve the 10C shit. Like, I can't, no more 10C. I'm done with it. But maybe they're not done with it. Who knows? Maybe they're not done with it. Oh God. I don't know.
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah, I have to go back to something I've said before because it just bothers me. When you're infiltrating a ship that is going on this mission, the ship would have crew,
Oh my God. They were like, they went on deck. It was like the whole deck is empty. I'm like, really? Fascinating.
Yeah.
Like how convenient the entire deck is empty.
Yeah,
like,
it just doesn't. Yeah, it just doesn't feel right. And I get it. I mean, I understand it's filmed during COVID and protocols and all that.
But at some point, you can only give them so many excuses. Like COVID only goes so far. Like, there are some of these like narrative decisions. So I'm like, this is just dumb. It's not. COVID cannot.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to bring them on, make it hard for them to, there aren't 15 crew members on this ship. The ship has a crew and has a lot of crew, yeah. So it's just, even if you had to digitally add them in or, have people wear green suits so you could map them in with something later, just do something that would make it feel like a ship, an active ship. It doesn't. It feels empty. It just like there's no way that these two, even Book knowing the Discovery like he does, would be able to get in and be entirely unseen the way that this is.
That just was so far-fetched to me.
Yeah, it's adjusting details to fit the circumstances instead of building a story that is that is reasonable and makes sense and makes it a reality rather than this feel. There are times, and I don't know why I'm using this analogy, but there are times where I feel like I'm watching a play and not a science fiction show.
Interesting. Mm-hmm.
Because you're literally watching like a few actors at a time. Right. Like it's like watching a play, and it just doesn't feel like, if you want to do that, then don't set the show on a starship that should be alive and teeming with people and action. Things should be going on. I mean, the ship sits up there waiting for the captain and Saru and all those to come back, but the ship still has got to run. It's just not sitting there, in station in orbit, just hanging out, doing nothing. Like the ship still needs to run.
There's still a crew. And then there's like these weird pacing issues. Like, for example, when they're crawling through the Jeffries tube and then they spy Reno and Adira and then they have this whole conversation. And then, do you remember that? It just felt so weird. I was like, this feels very like they just like literally inserted this. And then I guess Tarka was like, ooh, let me, he see the replicator and it's like, oh, let me like mess up the replicators. I'm like, is this like weird like storytelling? Like, it's just like very, and even the part where they spy Tarina and Earth Ambassador kind of talking, at least they try to weave in like, oh, Book is like, oh, let me talk to like Earth Girl, so, but it still kind of felt very like just, it just felt very out of place, like in terms of the way that the story is unfolding. It just, I don't know, you're giving them a lot of passes because of COVID. I just don't think it's good writing. Like, I actually think it's like bad writing to me. There's ways around it where it can be better, like I think it's just bad writing, to be honest. So I don't know. I'm glad next season it's only 10 episodes. It's going to be hopefully a lot tighter. We'll see. Like, next season will be like, hopefully COVID will have eased up restrictions. And I mean, we see these other shows do it much better, so I feel, and a lot of these shows do film in Canada. So I'm like, they gotta, clutch it up a little bit.
Yeah. It makes me sad, actually. Really, to kind of point out these things and just it feels empty, and and Star Trek to me shouldn't feel empty.
Sure.
It just feels devoid of life in a lot of ways, and it's
also like, I think, and we've seen there are really good Star Trek episodes that are bottle shows and like one of our favorite DS9 episodes is Waltz, which is all Kira and one prisoner. That was almost the whole show.
Yes.
But it's just so tightly written. You know what I mean? It's so tightly written, and there's so much tension between just two characters for like 40 minutes almost. You don't even notice that it's just two of them. It doesn't matter. And I just think that Discovery can have tighter writing, where sure, there might be these issues around COVID, but if it's well written, you should notice all these deficiencies. So this is why I just kind of chalk it up to like either sometimes the writing is a little lazy or like it's tropey. And I'm just hoping that they can tighten things up a little bit next season. And we both feel like it's dragging, this 10C shit is dragging because they blew things up like dragging in episode 1. In episode 1, they blew everything up, all the stakes were set, and now the stakes have been just, I don't think there have been additional stakes really. It's like a little bit here and there, but it's not like the DMA has like really blown up much else.
Right, until 2 episodes ago when it's threatening Earth and Navarre.
Right.
So,
and when I haven't seen that, it's kind of like, oh, okay, it's happening. So
I just feel disappointed. I hate to say that. I just feel disappointed and where this is going, and the fact that we have 2 episodes left and we haven't met the big bad. Which, right. If you're gonna throw all this build up into some new species, like we're talking about like these large bones and this, enormous beings that are living in a gas giant, that would be kind of fun to, explore.
Maybe cool to explore that a little bit more, and have that, have dedicate more episodes to that. Meeting first, going through first contact and meeting them, but I feel it's
it comes to what's coming to mind for me is just and this is not my favorite season of Star Trek, but Enterprise season 3 focused heavily on the Xindi, and you really got to know all 5 species to some to varying extents, but you really delved into an enemy, as well as explored the crew and their response to having the trauma of Earth being attacked and all that was doing, and the effects of this long journey to get to the Xindi and to find them and try to destroy this weapon like that. And that was 26 episodes.
26 episodes, yeah, it's a lot.
And that was done really well. And we're half of that. And we have barely touched the surface of these aliens. And, and oftentimes in Star Trek, humanity learns things through their interactions with aliens. And so I feel like this is where we're missing out. We're missing out on this experience of meeting a new species of such a different kind than we've potentially ever met before, and what that could mean for exploring the human condition, talking about where humanity is and where it needs to go, like doing some really good Star Trek things that teach lessons through analogies and through experiences with aliens, and we're really we're missing that.
It's because they want to do this big reveal. I think that's the problem. They're hinging all their bets on how the reveal is going to blow us away a little bit, and I agree. Actually, I think that kind of maybe revealing them sooner would have served the storytelling a little bit more versus trying to like save it until episode 12 or 13. It's not really working for me.
No, it's not. No, like I said, I feel disappointed, and I'm more excited. To be honest, I am more excited about rewatching Penance, than I am to watching the penultimate episode of Discovery for this season, and that hurts to say. That really hurts to say.
Yeah. Well, You can't have it all. I mean, like, actually, yeah. I mean, I complain a lot about Discovery. I did, as much as I did not love season 3, I thought season 3 was better than this season. Like the whole like burn thing, because we discover what happened, why the burn happened, and I thought that was actually more interesting because with Sukal, and like we had to explore that and kind of figure all that out, because we meet Sukal like, I don't remember, like episode 9 or something, like like it's not like episode 12, we kind of meet him a little bit sooner, and I thought that actually brought about some good, interesting character development, particularly with Saru and all that. So I think it's too bad.
Yeah, I comparing this season to last season, I would take last season. I would go. Which it's just it's hard for me to say that. I'm usually really happy and positive about Star Trek, and I'm disappointed right now. So
well, we can talk about Picard now. Is there anything else that we need to say about Rosetta?
My other only point about this is that they kidnapped Jet Reno. So I hope that we have some really good snappy dialogue from her.
I also hope they have a good explanation as to why no one has noticed that she's missing. I mean,
or the Zora
has not detected that she's missing. I'm sure they'll have some sort of explanation, like whatever, but it just seems silly to me.
Yes, it does. And
and that she didn't notify anyone. Like, basically, Tarka was able to kidnap her before she could. Like, he was literally on the floor. Like, what she had no opportunity to notify anyone. Hey, there's an intruder. Like, that's just silly to me. But whatever.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes. So I would say the highlights for me were Emily Coots as Detmer, and it's nice to have Tig Notaro back as Jet Reno, and I still want to throw Tarka out an airlock. And honestly,
I totally accepted him at this point, but I think he's not going to go into next season. Like, I think.
I hope not.
I don't think so.
But Book is being really stupid. Continues to be really stupid.
Oh my god, he's being so stupid. It just bothers me because it's like he's
bothers
making the same mistakes as before.
Yeah.
So he's trusting Tarka way too much. He's not letting. He should be trusting Michael, and putting his trust in Michael. But I don't know why he continues to just trust Tarka. It makes no sense, especially after all he's been through. It doesn't make any sense to me. I just find it very frustrating. But they have to do this to set up more stakes. This is the issue. Like, I'm telling you, something's gonna happen where Tarka and Book are gonna mess things up. And it's gonna be high stakes. Whatever.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. So I think we're done talking about Rosetta. So now we can go back and talk a little bit more about episode 1, season 2 of Picard, the Stargazer.
Sorry, some kind of subspace anomaly Starfleet ordered us to investigate. I could use you on this one. Your brain, I mean.
Well, that's kind of kind.
Course set, Captain.
Dale. Make it so.
The pressure of legacy. It's your own fault, No one told you to accept a command with baggage.
All right.
Yeah. This is now we can come alive because it was a great episode. So
it was a great episode. And I'm trying to remember what we talked about last time. So one thing that I actually really liked about this episode, I mentioned this to you separately, but I don't think I talked about it when we chatted about Picard on our last recording, is that I think one of the things I actually like a lot is that they've kind of just reset a lot of things. Because I think season 1 of Picard, things I did not like Rafi. Like, Rafi had so much baggage. It got kind of tiring for me. So I was annoyed at Rafi. I didn't like Rafi, how disrespectful she was and kept on calling Picard JL. I was like, bitch, please don't do that. No one does that. You're the only one does that. So disrespectful. And then Girardi, who started as a very Tilly-like, fun character. Literally, we were both hating her by the end because she was like, not obviously it wasn't all her fault, but she became such just a character with so much baggage. She was like just, she murdered someone and she just had so much weight on her. By the end, she was just like this joyless character, right? And I just like how they kind of reset all of that. Rafi's in Starfleet. She's a commander. She's like, commander of the Excelsior. She's like much happier. You can tell she's much happier. Jurati is like, back to her totally like self, jokey, sarcastic. Obviously there's a little bit with her and Rios, but she's like, whatever, bitch. She's just like, I feel like, and it's nice to just be back at Starfleet and just be part of Starfleet and not feel so ostracized from Starfleet, which season 1 was all about kind of being excluded. It was like outsiders, right? But I feel they're all back. It just feels nice, it feels good. And I feel these people are in a better place. Obviously they're in different places. There's still shit that they're trying to figure out, but I think overall they're just in such a better place than they were in season 1. And I feel they're all kind of set up for success in some ways in the season. It just feels like it feels fresh. And I think that's one thing that's really working for me right now.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I love being back at Starfleet. I love that it's more the Starfleet that we know versus the Starfleet where, the CIC and Picard didn't get along, there was all that baggage there. There's a Romulan spy running Starfleet security, and so yes, I am. I'm really happy to be back in a Starfleet setting that we know and that we can feel comfortable in, and see the characters just thriving. I think is what I'm seeing from these.
I love thriving because obviously Picard, the whole setup is like, he can be doing better or there's more, but at least is not like miserable and like has 15 years of he hasn't been like holed up as a hermit for 15 years or something, which is basically he wasn't.
He's chancellor of the academy, which I think is a great fit for Picard in general. I think it's great that Rafi, who really struggled last season and had a huge fallout from Starfleet, is back. It's great to see Rios, who also had a huge fallout from Starfleet, also back and in command of the Stargazer of all ships.
Yeah, that's a little bit like a stretch for me that he would be back in a year and a half be captaining a ship, and like, sure, I'll take it. Like, I'm like, it's okay. I don't mind.
Yeah, I think a lot's changed. I think that what's nice is that we didn't need to see all the fallout from season 1 after all that happened.
Yes, I thought the time skip was. I was fine with the time skip.
I was too. So there's that. There's so many little details in this episode when we're talking about Starfleet, like the Excelsior, the Uhura, the Hikaru Sulu.
Was it a Uhura ship?
There is. So that article I sent you, they listed all the ships that were at that battle or at that point in time, at meeting the Borg ship, and they went through all the different ships' names and the classes.
Okay.
So there are a huge number of callbacks, including the Uhura and the Hikaru Sulu. There were a handful of Sovereign class ships there. There was there are lunar.
Wait, so
ships.
I have a question. The Excelsior, is it the original?
No, it's an Excelsior 2 version.
Excelsior 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I saw the little tiny ship and I was like, the silhouette looks very much like the original, but obviously.
Yes, it does. It does look very much like the original, but its class is the Excelsior 2.
Okay.
So it is the Excelsior.
Yeah, I wasn't sure it was like a refit of the original, which is possible, but that'd be really old.
Yeah, no. This is a brand new Excelsior 2 ship, which, I think, I can't remember, you'll remember the detail that I'm not, but the ship from the season finale of Lower Decks, the Archimedes, maybe?
Yes, I don't remember.
That was a nice looking ship,
Yeah.
and they didn't actually use that design in this time frame, but again, that's set 15 years ago ish or more. So so yeah, it's just a lot of callbacks. So if you haven't watched the 3.5 minute story of the promo about the Stargazer, and then read the article where they've or been on Twitter and seen all of the images of all the ships that they made for this, it's just really cool. So
or they brought
Starfleet is
a
back.
lot of the ship designs from Star Trek Online to
they a bunch from Star Trek Online, so there's
cool.
just a lot of great callbacks. So it's really nice to see Starfleet back to what we know.
I think
Starfleet.
that's definitely a major factor, that they're not all on the outside looking in. I thought that really made a huge impact on just the setting, obviously, but also just how everyone was feeling. It just felt like Star Trek, to me.
Yeah, and it was a nice callback to get have the Stargazer and not the Enterprise, because the Stargazer was Picard's first command. It was a awesome looking ship. There were crew, like I said before. There, it felt full and active, and there was energy.
And I love because they brought Michael Kuda back to help with the design of the bridge of the Stargazer.
Cool.
And they totally, I love that they're still leaning into the LCARS displays. But then it's like full LED, like these massive LED screens. I thought it was beautiful. Because it is still the classic, because they didn't lean into the holographic displays for the Starfleet, the Stargazer Bridge, Starfleet. They leaned into the traditional flat displays, and I like that they did that. Not that there weren't any holographic projections, but honestly, still mostly touchscreen, which I think that's one thing that I think we both appreciate. Like, it's like still very tactile, right? Like the fact that these displays and these touchpads are all tactile versus the floating in the air. It's just very classic Starfleet design.
Yeah, the only time they did that was when Girardi was looking at the sound waves from the thing.
Other than that, for the most part, everything
it totally looked
2D.
It all fit in nicely, and referring back again to Picard, to Patrick Stewart and Will Wheaton's interview, they talk about the bridge of the Stargazer, and it's huge, he says, and he wishes that they could preserve the bridge and have fans go and experience it. He said it was that amazing.
Oh, cool.
It's beautiful,
except for the steps. I think the only complaint was the steps.
The only thing is the steps, but it's still a beautiful bridge, and it's a beautiful ship. Even the exterior, what they did with it and how it looks, and just amazing. So I think that's great, and it sounds like, based upon that, and
that's one thing I think that's one complaint that you and I kind of had about the 32nd century ships, is that they all look very the exteriors all look very this silvery look, the Voyager, the USS Nog, whatever, they're cool, but they all have this very just similar look. And we haven't even really seen too much of the interior designs.
We haven't
at all, really. So it was just really nice to kind of see the slow pan of the Stargazer and see all those details, which I think we're also missing Discovery, because they literally the exteriors all have this silvery I don't know, programmable matter kind of exterior. It's just they kind of look dry.
It feels like a very sanitary future, right?
Yes.
And I get that they're trying to make it even more futuristic, because it's 800 years in the future from Picard. So the future then, and a lot of holographic displays, which makes sense, for that time period, but it's just great to be back on a bridge, like you said, with LED screens and just things that looked, advanced, but not out of the realm of possibility.
Right, and not sense. So far removed from the TNG DS9 era, because it's only like 20 years post, so it's not, it shouldn't be so crazy, and it's still very reminiscent of that, which I like.
And it looks great. That and I like the color scheme. I like the reds. I like the reds that they're using, which is very like First Contact, Enterprise E bridge reds, and that sort of, it's not the yellow and what's the other color that they used in all the original L cars, the light blues and light greens.
Yellow. A lot of yellow.
It's a lot of red, and it's a lot of dark brown, dark colors, which I kind of like the difference there, the evolution there. So I thought that was really great. And
speaking of resetting things, I don't know, we talked about this at the end of Picard season 1, because I think you and I were kind of debating what the fallout of Picard being in an android body, like how much of that would be a fallout in season 2. And it really sounds like, based upon what at least I've read, they're trying to like basically just brush past it. They're not making
I think Q is the only person that made any mention of it, like of his body.
And then Gerardia was like, "Oh, you look absolutely positronic." I don't know.
And that's it. Those are the only two things.
And it's great. Kind of like, and I think that I read this interview with Patrick Stewart, because someone was asking him about that, and he was like, "Oh yeah, like that's kind of actually irritating, like the whole like android body decision." He was just like, whatever. It's just like kind of interesting that because they made such a big deal out of it, and then it's like, whatever, it's done. So I don't know.
I think we've moved on. We've moved on from that storyline. I think
they have definitely moved on.
And I barely thought about it. I think the 2 times, like the positronic comment from Girardi and the Q comment, was really the only times I even thought about it.
The Q comment which happens in episode 2, so you do remember some stuff.
Yeah, well, there we go.
Yeah.
So it's just it was a strong start, and I loved the way that it ends and then resets, and like that was very Q-ish. That was very like not best of both worlds, but what am I trying to think of? Even it countered Farpoint or All Good Things. It kind of all I don't know. I just got a lot of next gen vibes from this episode. And I also thought that the music was phenomenal, so I really enjoyed, and I mentioned this on Discovering Trek. I give a huge shout out to Jeff Russo for the theme. Not that the theme is different and I like it, but there's a lot of next generation music throughout the show.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, that was a big, I picked up on this little subtle themes underneath all of the action and things happening, and it felt very next generation. And one of my complaints about music for this era of Star Trek is that it's not quite as memorable. It's not quite as in some cases haunting, but it's just very, growing up, I really loved collecting the CDs of the music. Like that was a big deal when they put out any music, and it was just very.
It's not as catchy. It's not very catchy in any way.
Yeah, and I felt like you could feel and hear those undertones in the music, and it was great. So I really enjoyed that piece of the episode as well. And so now we're in this, at the end of the episode, we end up in this alternate timeline, and I think that one of the other things I really liked too was and I've watched it, it's a pretty popular moment, but and we've talked about it on this show many times, for like CG work for actors and making them look younger or whatnot. Again, something that Star Wars has slowly evolved and been getting better at.
Yeah, Star Wars has gotten better at it, especially with Boba Fett. And I mean, we had a whole episode with, basically Mark Hamill, like young.
Yes.
And it looked good. And he was like in a lot of scenes. It wasn't just like 5 seconds. Literally, he was like in the whole, it was like an entire episode. It was like him and Grogu. And they actually did a decent job. Like I didn't really, I was never really taking that moment. Meanwhile, Data in season 1 of Picard I thought was terrible. Like I was totally distracted every time we saw.
Yeah, they didn't do a lot of CG work with making him look younger in those scenes.
Or it was like bad CG work. Fortunately, with Q, it was literally just like 3 seconds. Like
but it looked
fine.
It looked amazing. Like it looked real and amazing.
And his haircut was like the same as what we've seen before with Q. So that was fine. I thought it was really, really good. But it does help, honestly, that John Delancey has aged well, because I'm like, he looks great older.
He does look great older,
yeah. So it wasn't as like distracting as well. But yeah, I think that, it's great having Q back. He feels the same kind of snarky. His voice sounds the same. You can, his intonations is all the same. So
yeah, and I love how angry Picard gets with him. Like we saw it a little bit in Next Generation, right? But this time you really see, and hence the benefits of 20 years later and television being different, and you could swear and things like that, especially on streaming.
Right.
The anger that Picard has just feels so visceral and real, and at the end of the episode, like, what did you do? And
but one thing, this is episode 2. One thing that really was shocking to me was when Q hit him, like slapped him. And that felt very, and you can probably chalk that up to kind of is Q like not well, because Picard was like, and we've gotten hints that there's something bigger at stake with Q, right? Like with interviews and such. But even Picard was like, yeah, something's off with Q. So you can blame it on that. But I just thought that because Q never got physical with with anyone.
Oh yeah, no.
So I thought that was that I was like, whoa, that's like really odd. But maybe it is because something's wrong with him.
Yeah, possibly.
But that was a little distracting to me because that felt out of character. But maybe that's on purpose.
Yeah. I'm glad I was really happy how the Stargazer episode, not the ship, but the episode brought the crew back together. I felt like in a fairly authentic, like, not too bad of a way for the most part. Obviously, Soji is left behind on Delta. So, I wonder how she's going to fit into the season later on. But, we have Raffi and Elnor on the Excelsior there. Mm-hmm. We have, Girardi, Rios, Picard, and Seven on the Stargazer. And, the other thing we really haven't talked about is that I really loved was just having Guinan back.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that last episode. It was good, but I think I mentioned this. I felt Whoopi Goldberg felt more like Whoopi Goldberg than Guinan, and it felt more like Whoopi Goldberg talking to Patrick Stewart versus Guinan talking to Jean-Luc Picard. But I don't know.
I felt that was good. I felt there was Guinan and Picard. Yeah, it was maybe a little bit of that, but I think it felt. Yeah, I wanted more. I definitely wanted more. So
I wanted more. I just also find it, and we talked a little bit about this as well. Like this, obviously we're getting hints that Picard had, Picard's the way he is because of trauma. But I'm just kind of, it's very surprising to me that he couldn't even tell Guinan, like that, because Guinan was straight up asking him, well, what is it that you can't say? And Picard literally just could not spit it out. And you could tell that he wanted to share something, but he couldn't. And I know Picard, the Picard we know, is very private and he's very reserved, but he's like 95 years old, and this is still something that he hasn't grappled with or shared. Is kind of, that's a little bit unbelievable to me, but we'll see. I mean, trauma. I think there was this interview where they were talking about that, and they basically said that it was something along the lines of how the present that you live in sometimes is your past, because it's just like you live in that and it just stays with you. And I think
that's actually an interview with Akiva Goldsmith.
Oh, was it? Okay. It was
part of the Ready Room that I think you saw. They probably broke out and posted the clip.
I think
somewhere.
They probably just, there's a transcript of it.
Yeah. So basically, what he says is that the only way that humans time travel now in today's day is when you're stuck in the past. At some point, we all have some moment of trauma that sort of holds us, and that's sort of our time traveling is going back to that moment. And
that was so interesting. I really like that, actually.
I mean, I instantly thought of what moment I'm stuck in necessarily. So it's I
thought that was like beautifully said. I really like that a lot. And but it is just kind of I think some people are complaining that is it like retconning. I don't think it's retconning, but at the same time, I just find it a little bit unbelievable that he's never like kind of like dealt with it or shared it.
Well, and anybody. So I mean, I think you get a little more context if you watch the interview with Patrick Stewart and Will Wheaton. Not the context, but there's also this idea that children are an unreliable narrator for the most part. Like I forget how he answered it, but the question was, are we going to explore, I forget how Will put it, but children are often an unreliable narrator. Okay. In the sense of,
or like memory is not like reliable.
Yeah. Your memory isn't what it, what actually happened. Your childhood has a different perception. The child version of you has a different perception of events than you do looking back at it now. And I don't know, it just made a lot more sense to me. And I think that, and also I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think, Patrick even left the seed of doubt that this actually happened.
Oh, interesting.
So there's that question of whether it does or not. So I don't know if that means like, when he said that, does that mean like, oh, it happened in this timeline, but not on this time? Like, is it a crossing of timelines? Is it just something that happened that he put together, or did it never happen that way? Who knows? But so I think there's more to come on that. So
I mean, like, we're obviously being set up with the idea that Picard's alone for a reason, right? And there's something like we don't quite know. Obviously, we caught like, it's like half a second of a glimpse of maybe something traumatic happening, but we don't know very little. So I would hope that there's I hope that there's some sort of like rational like explanation for why he is for this entire time that we've known him. Because I was talking to a coworker about this, because I do have a coworker that watches Star Trek, and I was like, that moment in Generations when he learns that his brother Renee died, and he's talking to Deanna, and he's like, there's gonna be no more Picards. I was like, bitch, you can have children. I don't understand. Like it's not like that option is closed to you, but he made it sound in Generations so final that he's the last, and he says it when he addresses the the cadets. He was like, I'm the last Picard, and it did bring me back to the moment in Generations where like, he is the last Picard, but it's of his choosing. It's like, there's no reason why he can't have children, and he's had the opportunity, but it's like, why he's just chosen to not have a family, and why has he chosen for his line to end with him? And I always thought that was an odd moment in Generations. I don't know if that ever struck you as weird, but I was just like, I never understood. So I think
I have a different perspective on age now than just on like being older than when Generations came out. Like I still feel young, and the possibilities. And obviously, Dennis and I are adopting, so where it's not our genetic, but we are creating the next generation of Thurlows and Zaides, and that's possible even in later stages of life. We're both in our 40s, so it's just I think I look at that differently. But back then, I think he's old. He's old. Of course, that
hear
makes
about
sense.
like men are virile until like basically the end. Like
Sure,
like it's not men don't go through the same kind of menopause that women do. Like from a biological standpoint. So if he wanted, he could have children. He could have family. So I always thought that was a little weird.
I mean, he's made the decision not to for whatever reason. And
but maybe that's something that that's what I think they're trying to cultivate. It's like, why, is that the case? And I hope we get something that is genuine and not like weird, timey-wimey, like alternate universe. Like, I hope we get something that is kind of genuine to his character, that builds on it, that builds on who he is and gives us a little bit more insight into him as a person.
I mean, based upon what we've seen these first 2 episodes, and I know we're not talking about this, but this is a really well written opening 2 episodes.
I'm really liking it so far. I had very few complaints. My only complaints was like, they kind of discarded the stuff that I didn't really love anyway, so I'm actually okay with it. Like, and then since it has been a week since the premiere, one thing that we kind of touched on, but there have been more rumors flying around, is the identity of the Borg Queen, the one that bores the Stargazer.
Oh, yeah.
And people are like, is it Picard's mom? I'm like, oh my God, that'd be weird. Like if it was Picard's mom, because you get
that's actually what I think it was. And then that's my prediction. But
really, you think that
hearing
like, so she would be like over, like she would be like 130 years old, which I guess is possible.
Yeah,
or whatever.
I made that prediction, and then some other people made theirs after the fact, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So I'm not so sure that it is his mother, but
or they could be.
I think we're meant to think it is
memories, so they know his memories, so they could be manipulating him. I think that could be very likely.
I don't think we're gonna learn who that is until the end of the season, possibly.
I don't think so. I think
so I think that we're just gonna have to wait, and there's gonna be rampant speculation. But I no longer believe that my prediction that that's his mom is gonna be happening. But
I think that'd be weird. I don't think that would be the reveal. But I just thought that it was. Because I was confused, because I remember asking you, I was like, what did she say? Did she say look up? Because I thought that's what she said. And I was like, that's odd. That's out of left field. And the only connection there was to what his mother said. So to him when he was a kid. So I was like,
I think you're supposed to make that sort of connection and then think about it, and then more will be revealed. But I'm not, So we'll see what happens. I'm along for the ride. I'm I will ride or die with Admiral Picard and Captain Rios.
And my hope is that by the end of the season, Picard decides to like let love in, and in season 3 he reunites with Beverly Crusher. Like that's what I want.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I was a little bit shocked on first watching of the Laris and Jean-Luc kind of dynamic, but it's growing on me, and
it's not growing on me. It's definitely it definitely shocked me, and it still is not. I'm still not.
No, I'm
still shipping him and Beverly.
No, I was in that boat, and I've come around. I'm a huge Orla Brady fan. I mean, she's gorgeous. She's just a wonderful actress. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited to see where this goes
in that direction, but I want Beverly back. You wouldn't be disappointed if Beverly came back. I would love Kate Smith-Adams to come back.
I wouldn't be disappointed. No. I don't know that that's going to happen, but
yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen, but if it did, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm hoping that season 3, we get everyone back. Like we get like the entire crew back. I know. And I would love Will Wheaton to make an appearance too.
Yeah, I agree. I would love that as well. I would, it's pretty clear that Q is going to be a part of season 3, even though he let that, John Delancey let that slip like a year ago.
I'm still kind of curious about that.
Now
if that is definitely the
confirmation.
case, like, or if it was a red herring, but I don't know. We'll have to wait until season 3, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Well, lots of, yes. I feel better now talking about Picard. So I think this is a great place to end for this week.
All right, cool. Well, Mike, do you want to talk a little bit about our sponsor, Fansets?
Sure. Fansets is the exclusive sponsor of the Trek Geeks podcast network and Deep Space Pride. And we love the guys over at Fansets, and they have just released last week some new pins. They came out a little bit past the beginning of the month, but you do have the title pins for Lower Decks and Picard that you can now get. And if you head on over to Fansets, put a bunch of pins in your cart. There's the deltas done right. There are the micro crew pins. There's so many great things over there, and it's not just Star Trek. It's Harry Potter, it's Scooby-Doo, it's Rick and Morty, it's a bunch of other great properties as well. So head on over to Fansets, put a bunch of pins in your cart, and if you buy more than $30 in the US, you're going to get free shipping. And if you use the code DSPRIDE, all one word, you will save an additional 10% off your order. And we want to thank our friends over at Fansets for being our sponsor and the sponsor of the Trek Geeks podcast network.
Thanks, Fansets. Cool. So I think that does it for this episode. If you all want to reach out to us, you can reach us on social media and email. You can reach us on Twitter and Instagram at Deep Space Pride, or you can email us at deepspacepride@gmail.com. And one additional plug that I will do, because we never do it, and I think that we should, and you and I should probably do this moving forward, is we would also love for our listeners, all 3 of you, to leave us reviews on your platform of choice, because that does help the algorithm in terms of how we will come up in searches and stuff when if someone was to search for a Star Trek podcast. It does help the algorithm if we have great 5-star reviews. So if you like this podcast, definitely leave us a positive review. If you don't like this podcast, then you can email us instead and give us positive feedback, constructive feedback rather, and we'll maybe listen to you. But yeah, if you enjoy listening to us ramble on and on about Star Trek, we'd love to see that in our review somewhere. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, that's a great point. So thanks in advance for leaving us some 5-star reviews. We'd appreciate it.
Cool. All right. Anything else, Mike?
No, I think that's that. Let's put a pin in it. Let's call it a day. And new Star Trek tomorrow. Well,
at least one episode, not 2.
One episode of it is new, yes. But yes, I'm anxious to watch Penance again too. So thanks everybody for listening. And we'll see you back here next week.
Bye, everyone.
Deep Space Pride is a production of Coconut Media Works. Executive producers Bill Smith and Dan Davidson. For more great Star Trek discussion, discover the other shows of the Trek Geeks podcast network at trekgeeks.com, or find us in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app.